The vivo X80 and X80 Pro are very impressive camera flagship phones that I've been using them side by side for the past couple of weeks. To be honest, I'm torn between them because they have such good cameras and performance despite their significant differences in hardware and price. Which is why I've decided to conclude the review of these two phones in one single video and tell you which one you should go for. The X80 and X80 Pro feature the boldest design ever from Vivo with a large squarish camera bump on the back. They essentially feature the same design language, so it's hard to tell them apart not unless you notice one less periscope camera on the X80. The camera sensors on the X80 Pro are also bigger, which makes the camera bump slightly thicker than the X80's, ultimately making a slightly bulkier and heavier phone. The X80 Pro's body is also IP68 certified against water and dust, which its sibling lacks. On the front, they feature dual-curved 6.78-inch AMOLED display that refresh at 120Hz. These are extremely beautiful and bright displays that support HDR with very similar color reproduction and contrast. However, the X80 Pro features an LTPO panel with a higher Quad HD resolution and an adaptive refresh rate that goes as low as 1 Hz to conserve power. The X80 on the other hand pushes Full HD resolution and still has a smart switch feature that switches between 60Hz and 120Hz, which to be honest isn't too bad. The real killer feature that the X80 Pro has is a large under-screen ultrasonic fingerprint reader that's extremely precise and can register 2 fingerprints, whereas the X80 has a standard optical under-screen fingerprint reader which still works really well. On paper, the X80 Pro is equipped with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 SoC, while the X80 is paired with MediaTek's flagship Dimensity 9000. Though you might easily assume that the former should outperform the latter in benchmarks, that's quite the contrary when you run benchmarks, as the X80 has a higher score in Geekbench 5 single and multi-core benchmarks, while the X80 Pro reigns supreme in the 3D Mark Wildlife benchmark. But in real-world scenarios, these phones perform extremely well, and you really can't tell which one runs apps faster. Even when it comes to gaming, they support 60 frames per second with the highest graphics setting in Genshin Impact effortlessly. Unfortunately, they both get warm really fast shortly into the game and when you're using their cameras outdoors. Now here's the hardest part of this review, because even though the X80 and X80 Pro come with different camera systems and the same vivo V1 Plus ISP chip, they both produce very impressive image quality for the general eye. The X80 Pro, however, has the advantage of having a periscope lens that offers up to 5 times optical zoom. It also has more camera modes than the X80 and takes up to 8K videos at 30 frames. Starting with the ultra-wide cameras, the X80 Pro's camera has a wider dynamic range than the X80, which might look more favorable, but the X80 has a more natural color that's closer to the actual scene. These photos are taken with HDR turned on and they look pretty amazing. In low light, this is where the two start to differ significantly, and even though they take very detailed looking photos, the X80 Pro does a better job when it comes to contrast and combating light flare. Moving on to the primary cameras, they look equally good in dynamic range, but I personally feel that the X80 takes more detailed shots than the X80 Pro. They also look about the same in low light with good detail and contrast. As for the telephoto cameras, daylight photos look good with no graininess at all, while they retain detail very well in low light. Selfies wise, they look generally the same in terms of image quality as they have the same 32 megapixel front camera, but sadly, their front cameras will only take videos in 1080p resolution. The major difference between these two phones is video recording quality in 4K, where the X80 Pro has better stabilization than the X80, but on the other hand, the X80's main camera takes better details than the X80 Pro in low light. But I've got to say that these are one of the best phones for shooting low light videos. When it comes to battery life, these phones will definitely require a daily charge for a moderate 4-hour screen on time, and they thankfully support 80 watts of wired fast charging with their provided charging bricks. The X80 Pro offers 50-watt fast wireless charging that the X80 doesn't, which is an added convenience if you buy Vivo's proprietary wireless charger. They unfortunately don't support USB PD charging, so you will be stuck at a slow 10-watt charging wattage if you use a power bank. This is probably the only thing that I don't like about them, because you tend to run out of batteries pretty fast when you use the camera a lot on a road trip. The vivo X80 and X80 Pro retails for 3,500 ringgit and 5,000 ringgit respectively in Malaysia, which is a crazy huge price gap, but considering the extras you're getting on the X80 Pro, such as a better camera system, IP68 and wireless charging, it is worth paying for the extra if you have money to spend. Otherwise, the X80 is still a very good choice if all you want is a good camera on the phone, and it performs just as well as the X80 Pro. So that's pretty much all my review on the Vivo X80 and the X80 Pro. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and be sure to give us a thumbs up if you love what you saw. Subscribe to us for more videos coming right up, and I'll see you guys in our next video.